you for posting it in the Slack channel. That helped me find it. So
Okay.
yay, Hein.
Thanks. Yeah, I was trying to like put it everywhere I can, but yeah, well, I think hopefully people will continue to see it. Again, I apologize for the confusion this month. I feel particularly bad, not only because you guys had to wait, but I feel bad for our speakers tonight as they prepare to talk to everybody. But looks like more people are coming in. Hopefully people are seeing my message and people aren't too annoyed that I confused them and they'll join. But with that said, thank you everyone for being able to find your way here. Appreciate it. It really shows how much you want to be here and to support our speakers. For those of you who are new, welcome. This is not how typically the experience is like. I'm going to blame it on daylight savings, but I doubt that was the reason this happened. But again, for first time attendees, welcome. My name is Hein, like the ketchup without the Z. I co-own Huck Finch, a branding and web development studio based in Ipsy. What we're going to do now, as people are trying to trickle in, and I can't do it anyways because the poll is not set up in this one because it's set up in the other one. But what we normally do is we do a poll to kind of see who's in the audience. So we're going to pivot as quickly here as possible. So if you don't mind, type into the chat like these are the options we typically have. If you want to take a minute or so and just kind of type in, take a look at that. We have currently you're an entrepreneur. Are you trying to start a venture? Are you an investor, marketer, designer, software developer? We have an other category if you want to write that in. If you just want to share with the audience here, just real quickly to kind of see who's out there. Unfortunately, we can't do the count as usual. But we'll do the best we can. Diana, I love your answer, and you are a very enthusiastic community member. I like that David wrote 4 out of 5. That's some. And then those who wrote other, feel free to share like what your other is, whether it's like you're in marketing or whatever it may be. Would be cool to find out if you work at the university or to know. Cool. And as people are, writing in their responses, a big reason why this community exists is because of you guys. Like it's and the ability to connect and meet with each other, and being able to know who else is out there in the community, which is wide and diverse, which is why we have those options. It's really nice because the whole idea here is to connect people as much as possible, as long as the host doesn't give people multiple Zoom links. But with that said, another really great way, and Diane kind of mentioned it already, was a Slack, which is where she found out that there are 2 Zoom links. There's a Slack out there, so do join that. I just shared the link in there. It's madeina2.com/Slack, which is where you can join the Zoom link, hear about general announcements. Allison Todak, who is one of our attendees here, she a few weeks ago shared that she was looking for startups for the Michigan House, which was really nice because then people were able to send some awesome startups her way for that, for South by Southwest. So a lot of nice things going on in there. Also, a lot of questions that you may have answers to for folks, which is really great. Job opportunities, just a lot of going on in the Slack. So if you're not part of it already, please do join and participate. And we'll get to our main event shortly, but I'm going to go through our sponsors real quick and thank them for keeping this going. A2 Geeks, Roger Rail, and our co-organizers at the Entrepreneurship Clinic at U of M's Law School, as well as Ann Arbor Spark. For those who are new to this, the quick rundown on this is that we have 4 great speakers tonight who are going to have 5 minutes to pitch their startup. And then after that, there'll be 5 minutes of Q&A. During the Q&A, feel free to just type them into the chat. The speaker will answer them directly. After the 4 pitches, we'll jump into community announcements. So if you are looking for a co-founder or you have a job opening, anything like that, whatever your community announcement is, think about it. And when we get to it, feel free to type it in into the chat. I'll grab that and copy and paste it into our meetup to live in prosperity. And then afterwards, if you have time, stick around and we'll go into breakout rooms so you can network and meet each other. And what I'm going to do now is just mute everybody. And the speakers will then unmute themselves when they're ready to talk, just to make sure they have some silence to go through. And so, yeah, so our 4 pitches tonight will be MONSTR Sense with Eric Martin, Intro to AI with David Kobrosky, Aspirational Technology with Theresa Smith, and to round things out, Eebu Health with Harvey Goodman. And with that, I'm going to spotlight Eric and give him the floor so he can share MONSTR Sense with everybody, which is they develop optical measurement tools for analyzing mixtures and measuring ultrafast dynamics at the nanoscale.
All right, hi, thank you for the introduction. So I'm Eric Martin. I co-founded MONSTR Sense back in 2018 with Professor Steve Cundiff at the University of Michigan. We're a spin out of Michigan Tech Transfer, basically commercializing technology that some of which I built during my graduate school time. So the title of the talk today is State-of-the-Art Scientific Tools for Semiconductor Inspection. These are the group of folks who have helped make this happen. With that, I'll jump right into our target industry. So what we're seeking to develop products for is the compound semiconductor market. Most of you are familiar with silicon as a common semiconductor in your cell phones and computers, but compound semiconductors are the semiconductors needed in high voltage and high frequency applications. So think of your Tesla, 5G. Actually, those efficient light bulbs won the Physics Nobel Prize in 2014 contain compound semiconductor gallium nitride. And this is a $32 billion market. It's a big market, but it has a big problem. So the technology has not caught up with the demand. Specifically, silicon has an over 95% yield out of the fabs. People are very good at making very good silicon, very pristine silicon. Compound semiconductors cannot say the same. So though there are fabs that make compound semiconductors at scale, these usually have less than 50% yield. And you can see with a $32 billion market, that's a really big problem that a lot of people are trying very hard to solve. Furthermore, tools for detecting defects, so the problems in these semiconductors that lead to failure of devices down the road. So those devices, 90% of the defects that they detect, the devices that currently are out there detect, are nuisance events, meaning they're not important. Secondly, there's a lot of defects that are under the surface that current tools really can't see at all. And so I like to say the semiconductor industry here is kind of driving blind. So what's our solution? Based on technology that we made at the University of Michigan, we've been working on a defect inspection tool that can identify defects, even subsurface defects, that impact performance in compound semiconductors. This is sort of a feature that we learned through a lot of customer discovery interviews. It's important that these be sufficiently rapid to not slow down production, and that's one of the things we've been working on over the last year. Another very important feature that's necessary is that it is recognized by the industry as extremely reliable. And as a 2-year startup, that is the big challenge for making a semiconductor inspection tool. To give you an idea of this, semiconductor inspection tools run 24/7 in fabs, and downtime costs millions of dollars a day. So you don't want to be the tool that's on the fab line that goes down. So trusted commercial tools, reliable, fully automated, they look something like this. They're big behemoths of a tool right there. So here's our business trajectory, the way that we're looking to get to that point of making semiconductor inspection tools. To start, we've actually developed a product based on that technology out of Michigan. Our company name is MONSTR Sense, so our product names are monsters. The first one is the Bigfoot ultrafast spectrometer. This is really a product for academic researchers. These are the people who have been purchasing these are physicists, chemists, they're experts at using ultrafast lasers. And so this has been great for generating revenue over the last couple of years while we're improving product reliability and applications. But the other thing I got to say, the early adopters that we've had are fantastic for providing feedback. They tell me whenever something goes wrong, and that's been very useful for us. The next product we have coming this June is a microscope called Nessie, again with the monster theme. The two big things here. This first, we've used this to realize our technical goals. This is a funded project that we've had to really make imaging happen at a very high rate. And this microscope is the culmination of that technical work. And it is going to be a useful product for scientists. Second, though, we've been working on designing this for non-expert customers. So this would be something for secondary inspection, corporate R&D, applied research as well. So that gets us to our long goal, which is an inspection tool. Building an inspection tool will require components of both the Nessie and Bigfoot. It's going to require ultrafast lasers from partners. It's going to require all kinds of automation, and there's a lot of steps and a lot of work that's going to happen before we get to realizing that goal. And so that brings me to my ask. So of course, as I hope I've demonstrated, there is a big problem here, and there's a big industry that's sort of challenging to break into, and it's challenging to meet people who are working in semiconductor manufacturing and inspection. And so if you or anyone you know are in this industry, I'd really love to just have a conversation, pick your brain about pricing structures and corporate structures, et cetera. So I got my email on the slide, emartin@monstersense.com. And so with that, I'll open the floor to questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Eric, for sharing Monster Sense with everybody. I obviously love all the names because they're so great, but it looks like you have some questions already, one from Hassan and one from Robert.
So the first question is, what is your revenue model? So right now we sell spectrometers. I mean, they're fairly, so when you get these specialized spectrometers for science, they're fairly high margin items. And so right now we're just selling these products to scientists. As we scale up, I mean, these inspection tools are also they're not cheap. So if we get to the point where we're doing those, but all of these are, and even when you get to the inspection tools, if you get to the dream goal of being able to sell those to even every fab, you're still looking at fairly low numbers. So these are fairly expensive, complicated tools. I hope that answered your question. If not, feel free to post an update to that.
Is everyone for Hassan? I think he's asking about the EV market.
Wait, where I'm not seeing the up. Okay, I must not have. Oh, the Q&A. Wait.
Yeah, the question from Hassan is how do you go up against QuantumScape, who is dominating in compound semiconductor tech in this market?
So wait, so what is QuantumScape? Sorry, what is that? Also, where can I see the questions?
I think maybe because I sent you a DM with like the time.
Oh, I see. Yeah. I see. Sorry. Okay. So, can you repeat the question? Sorry, and I will figure out how to.
Yeah, the question is, in the EV market, how do you go up against QuantumScape, who is dominating in compound semiconductor tech in this market? They are leading on patents too.
So I'd have to look up QuantumScape. I was just advised to do this so that way I can answer this question. Okay. This is an electric vehicle company. Okay. Okay. I have heard. So they're making batteries. So we are an inspection company. I mean, our primary competitors, and I have a lot of them on this slide. So that top row, the top row at the top, these are a bunch of companies that do semiconductor inspection. So we're not seeking to compete in terms of making the materials. The thing is, that whole industry of making materials has a whole other part of it, which is all the processing that goes into the industry. So these are businesses that'll be manufacturing, so fabs manufacture the semiconductors, and they do these with these big tools. And I was showing pictures of some of the tools, but they have a lot of tools, and it's a whole series of tools, one of which will grow the wafer. It'll pass that wafer on to another tool that will inspect the wafer. That'll then get passed on to another tool that'll etch patterns onto it, and so on and so forth. And there will be, and these processes, there are hundreds of steps in these semiconductor growth processes. Each of these tools typically will cost the manufacturer, between $1 million and $10 million. But then they expect it to run for 5 years or so, 24/7. And so, in that time, and they're making tons and tons and tons of semiconductors and et cetera. So yeah, so we're just looking to create another tool for that space that will really be used for the inspection. And so, okay, so the go-to next question is, can you talk a little bit about your go-to market strategy? So with the research market, what we've been doing is, so before COVID, I went to conferences and had a lot of success there. So I'd bring our Bigfoot spectrometer. People love to see something, and then they poke their fingers in it and talk about it and ask about it. And that was fairly successful. Right now, we're having to use more direct email kind of marketing strategy. We actually got one customer through Google search, which I was very excited by, because I mean, something as technical as ours, you don't think of too many people as searching it. But the thing is, if someone is searching, hey, I want to do ultrafast spectroscopy with a microscope, I mean, they're definitely someone who is going to be a good potential customer. But for the most part, we've sort of raised awareness through emailing out to people and conferences, and then word of mouth as well has led to a lot of people reaching out to us.
Okay. Any other questions for Eric?
So another question: how much seed funding have you raised, either convertible or safe notes? Always a good question. So our goal is we started, our initial capital really came from me and my co-founder. We each invested the starting amount, because we already had purchase orders. So we had purchase orders. We kind of knew what it was going to cost to get to those. And so then that gave us, a little buffer in our bank account once we made those sales. We've also received funding from the NSF. So NSF SBIR funding is a great way for startups who are particularly high-tech startups, if you're doing a research project, to get some early funding to develop a new product. And so that's non-dilutive funding that we received through the NSF, which has been really great for building up NESI. Did you get the whole 2 mil from NSF yet? We're at the 250K. We'll be applying for the next phase 2 in June. So wish me luck.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. I think that gets us to about 5 minutes for Q&A. Eric, thank you again for sharing MONSTR Sense with us. And if anybody out in the audience knows anybody who can help Eric out to get connected with the semiconductor manufacturing or semiconductor inspection world, he has his info there, and I'll be sharing it in the Slack as well. So it'll be available for everybody. Thank you again, Eric.
Thank you very much.
All right.
I will stop sharing.
As you stop sharing, I will spotlight David so he can share intro AI with everybody.
Perfect. Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yep, we can. So feel free to take it away whenever you want, but Intros AI uses technology to make meaningful introductions in the community. So
perfect. And also, I think I can't quite screen share. It says disabled screen sharing, although sometimes that happens too. So maybe it's on my side.
Oh, there you go. Now you go.
There we go. Perfect. Thanks. Sweet. Thank you, Hein. So hey everyone, my name is David Kobrosky. I'm the founder of Intros AI, and we build chief introduction officers. I've been building introduction systems and communities for around 7 years now. I dropped out of school at Michigan with a double major in computer science and cognitive science to build community products for an influencer named Gary Vaynerchuk a couple years back, and have been full time on Intros AI since early January. So almost coming up on 3 months here. So first up, we'd like you to meet A2NewTech. As obviously, everyone here is familiar with the community. I just wanted to give this example, like kind of tailor my other pitches to this example to make it feel a little closer to home, if you will. Now, let's say the main reason members joined is to tap into the Ann Arbor tech community. And I made a fictional community organizer for this purpose. I guess Hein would be the real life community organizer, but that was copied from a quote from another community we work with. So meet Jesse here. Now, Jesse does a lot: event management, social media management, blog and other content creation, member acquisition, manual introductions. And why does Jesse do all this? Well, because Jesse wants engaged members. And what leads to engaged members? Members connecting in meaningful ways. Now, how is Jesse connecting members today? One is through virtual events, things like this, Zoom, breakout rooms, happy hours, creating content, blog post comments to get members discussing, or spreadsheets if they have a directory where members can look up other members, or perhaps they manually connect people through the spreadsheet. But all these approaches just simply aren't scalable. Members aren't getting enough value from one another, and community managers don't have enough time to connect them manually or host multiple events each week. And this is actually a real quote from one of our customers, but once again refactored for A2NewTech. And Jesse's not the only community manager who needs a hand. It's the #1 problem for increasing engagement in communities, online communities. And then secondly, for community managers, the hardest part is third hardest part is the pain points. The pain points around manual work rather than automated work. So meet Intros, your chief introduction officer. Within Intros, community managers can customize intro rules. That is how members get matched with one another based on a variety of factors. They can white label the introductions, branding, colors, and you can automate the process. So first up, customizing the intros. So the way this works, you can see in the left-hand side for the community manager's view. They can actually choose very granularly. If let's say this was a co-founder match. So A2NewTech is doing a co-founder match. The way it would work is you would indicate, I want to ask a question of what is a skill that you have and what is a skill in someone that you're looking to work with. And then I want to weight this question, let's say 30% of the overall match. So you'd be able to say, you type the questions of maybe the answers of business development, marketing, branding, software engineering, and then so members could select that for themselves and then select what they want in another member. And then based on how they answer that question, that would lead to about 30% of the match that they would get. So that's fully customizable. So you can almost build your own algorithm of how people get introduced to each other through intros. Next up is the white labeling. So the actual logo or the messaging, all touch points. The entire flow as a member joins these introductions, they get this welcome message, they get the suggestion email that says, hey, we think you should meet this other person in the community. Once both people confirm, then we actually make an email introduction. And then finally, it's automated. After you actually create the form, customize the messaging and upload your logo, there's nothing more you have to do. And it just, intros takes care of the rest. And we're ready to help quite a few communities make introductions. So I went full time on this in January. We landed our first paying customer then. Dropped out of school then and was at 1Password before that. We currently have 5 paying customers. We have 10 in trial at the moment. Rob, my CTO, just quit Goldman. So he was managing all of commodities trading over there for the tech side of it. And we're looking to get to 1,000 MRR. Right now we're at like 200 monthly recurring revenue. And so I'll go into that more later. Community managers' budgets are increasing over all communities, especially the ones that we're focusing on. 69% are actually planning to deepen their pockets and or take more money and spend it on engagement products. And then since the pandemic, it's also gone up. And there's a whole lot more Jesse's around the corner. It's expected to double the number of these online communities, of these online community managers in the next couple of years. Here's a quick run through of our market. I don't want to go too deep in here for the sake of time, but happy to come back to this. Some competitors, some of the key features that we have, especially around the custom, we have the highest customization, as well as thinking a lot more about these network effects that we need to have within the communities themselves. Defensibility that ties into this part as well. Once again, want to continue for the sake of time, and a few current customers. So we're in Michigan, for the CogSci department. The other two, so Contrary and Visualize Value, you can see the different size communities. Those two are paying. Michigan, currently doing a free trial. I think it's close to home, so I have a hard time charging. But I obviously will be bringing that up fairly shortly. They were like one of our first people to test it out. I know from customers, these are, one customer had members reach out to her asking for suggestions for a Valentine's Day gift, or I guess a Galentine's Day gift to give to a friend they met through intros. And it was a really meaningful moment for us to be like, okay, well, this is a connection we made that actually led to more meaningful connection, less noise that we see on Facebook, and much more meaningful connection with others. Impact is one of our kind of core features here. A lot of Americans don't have a best friend, so this is our way of approaching that. This is not the ask for the community, but rather the ask for future investors. We're looking to raise around 170,000 in like a friends and family round in the next couple of months here. We haven't started yet. This is just kind of preparing for that time. Team, just myself and my co-founder, Rob. I have quite a big experience, and so does Rob too. And then biggest ask for everyone else here is give us a ring if you know any community managers, anyone who you think would be willing to try us out. The way where our pricing works is we do 50 cents per member per month who's on intros, and always down for month-long trials and just hearing more about whatever people's working on community-wise. So thanks so much for letting me present.
Thank you so much, David, for going through. And looks like you already have some questions.
Sweet. Let me take a look here. Pull it up here so you can see. Here we go. Okay. Yeah. I would be totally down to walk through the experience. David Bloom. I'll make sure I go to the top ones first. So we got that's NSF. Okay, great. So I think the first one was David Bloom. Yes. All right. So connectees. Yes. So the process is actually, I can take you through this. So let me add a new tab. I'll go to wait, let me show my bar here. View, show bar. And
I guess as you're doing that, I'll maybe read out the other questions so you can try to answer them while you're doing
Perfect. That. Yeah. Yes, actually right here. So actually here you can see here. So you can join. This is like a customized question. I want to meet other members who also blank, enjoy talking about existential questions. Maybe you want to play with virtual Catan. Next step, what is your tone of the conversation you'd like to have? Next, what is your LinkedIn? So you leave this information. After that, you get a message saying, hey, welcome to this intros. Here's
that was super fast. Could you
sorry,
let us look at the slides?
Yeah, sorry about that. Absolutely. Yeah, this is a customized form. So this is the community manager view that you can customize the form. This is where you have the welcome message, which maps to the user experience here, where we say, welcome to this intros. We'll connect you with someone new in your community every week or so. And then we can customize this first question here and all of these questions to be whatever we want it to be. So in this case, let's say in A2NewTech, we want to match with someone else to work on a side project, right? We still want to work full time, but we want to work on something fun, side project, and then press enter. And then once we activate this question, then on the actual member side, if we reload this page and we start the survey, then we'll see we can match someone else in the community who also wants to work on a side project. Now, the next step for us here is to make it actually us to say as a community manager, this is worth 30% of the overall match together. So that's what we built out now. We just have to test it a little more to get into production. But hopefully that gives you a little background on the first step here. Happy to go into more too.
And it's Bayesian, the 30%.
I'm sorry, one more question? Can you repeat that one more time?
It's Bayesian logic. You're just adding up percentages to give you a score.
Yeah, don't overweight. So there's a score of the match between, let's say, me and Hein are getting matched. There's a score between us as a match together. And there's a score from me to Hein and then Hein to me. So what that means is, let's say Hein has a skill of design and running an agency, and I need a marketer. Then my score from me to him is gonna be much higher than his to me. Let's say he doesn't need like an engineer, or he doesn't need a biz dev person. Then I wouldn't be a good fit for him. But so from there we look at the score of those people together. So that's kind of the logic behind it at the high level.
Thanks.
Cool.
Totally.
Minutes left for questions, at least for the Q&A right now, but obviously you have some questions here. Feel free to answer them.
Yeah, absolutely. Ooh,
And we have
good ones. Sorry. No, my bad, Hein.
No. Go ahead. It's yours. It's your floor.
All right, I'll try to speed up here. It's quite a few, so I'll do the best, and then I can leave my email if anyone wants to follow up if my answer wasn't good enough. Because I know I don't want to take away from everyone else too. So email is david@intros.ai. So feel free to email me if I don't get in depth to your question enough. First up, include conference apps like Hopin. So we actually worked in conference in the past. We tried to experiment with that. We charge 25 cents per member. We get 1,000 people, so we charge around $250 for a conference where we just made a one-time introduction. So we actually have that built too. We're thinking about playing around with that, but that's not our go-to-market. So at some point we'll maybe kind of get into the world of Hopin, but that's what Hopin's for, like one-off events, right? Whereas we want to wrap around existing workflows, which is why we work with email. So we go through email, and eventually we're gonna have like a Slack bot or a Discord bot and text message. Next up, who's main competitors? Yeah, absolutely. So I have a quick slide here. We have competitors. Yeah, so we got Donut. Donut is in Slack. They just raised 10 million from Excel. They're in Slack, right? That's kind of their vertical, whereas we sit as a horizontal on top of these existing platforms. They could be a competitor if we go into Slack, but their matching logic is pretty minimal. It's just random. Random Coffee, they kind of have a little bit of matching logic, but in order to update anything in Random Coffee, you have to actually send them a slide deck of like the update you want to match, because they're just so old and like the legacy product. But they've worked with SAP and large companies because it's the best thing out there at this point. That and Orbit is a similar one. Orbit started this past fall. I think they're closest competitor right now. But we're focusing on a different market. They're working on like small, medium companies. Eventually we might get there. We're focusing on these like independent community managers, if you will. And there's a lot, they don't have any matching logic. You just pick a topic to match on. It's pretty minimal. And then last one, yeah, intros you can see there too. Sorry, my computer's in front of my desk, which I'm standing up here. Can I answer the other ones, Hein, or should
I think we're at time, but feel free to type in your answers to them while the other pitches are going on. But thank you again, David, for sharing intros with us. Dave and I had already chatted, and we're going to try and see how we can use intros for the A2NewTech community. So we'll try to get everybody in there and make some meaningful connections, because that's really what all this is about. But if you do know other community managers who could be using intros, David's information is there in the chat as well as the website. So yeah, check them out.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks so much for everyone's time too.
Yeah, thank you, David. And then we'll hand things over to Theresa with Aspirational Technology. Aspirational Technology makes and sells affordable household water filters for the working poor in developing countries. So Theresa, I'm going to spotlight you, and you can take it away whenever you're ready. All right, the floor is yours.
Hey, everybody. All right, so I'm Theresa Smith, and I'm a co-founder at Aspirational Technology. And we are a triple bottom line social business, ending water poverty with affordable filters in the developing world. Every day, poor people die because of their tap water. In Latin America, waterborne diseases are the third leading preventable cause of death and the ~1 killer of children under 5. 2 billion people have diseases in their water and enough money to buy a filter. We're targeting the $4 to $10 per day working poor consumers in emerging markets, and we're beginning in Latin America. This is our Ola filter. It's cheap, easy to use, and durable. It costs less than half of other filters, and it lasts for 5 years with no replacement parts. We're using a proven technology, building on it to make it accessible, attractive, and affordable. So inside the filter casing is a tightly bundled loop of hollow fibers that block bacteria, protozoa, and cysts. The trap particles are periodically backwashed, and this backwashing feature is why our filter can be reused over and over without needing any replacement parts. This is our competition. Both filters cost a week's wage and are only sold in urban centers. Our business model is a win-win solution. We make a 45% markup while catalyzing the local economy. By buying our materials from domestic suppliers and hiring a local workforce, we keep our costs low. At a retail price of $19.25, the Ola filter is well less than half the price of other filters on the market. Our marketing and distribution will reach everyone, from urban slums to remote villages. We target our customer segment through grassroots marketing. Our filter will be sold by domestic retailers, local sales forces, and NGOs. The Ola filter is awesome because it protects the environment too. Each filter cleans 100,000 gallons of water. keeping tons of plastic waste out of landfills and streams. It reduces deforestation from the use of firewood to boil water. And our short supply chain avoids the carbon footprint associated with shipping. With OLED filter, families save $580 over the 5-year life of the filter. It pays for itself in 2 months, and that math makes for an easy sell. We will begin in Guatemala, tapping into our existing partnerships and then grow throughout Central and South America. Our growth curve is more ambitious than other low-income consumer products because our filter is so much more cost competitive and our distribution model is highly targeted to our customer segment. We have 2,000 filters pre-ordered, and we have letters of intent from other organizations. We are rapid prototyping filters, preparing our patent filing, and identifying our supply chain partners. We will run the first 1,000 filters in the US to have on hand while we're setting up shop and training personnel in Guatemala. Right now, we're being incubated by the Ann Arbor-based Appropriate Technology Collaborative. They've been creating green tech in the developing world for 13 years. And we're being advised by Team Technologies, one of the largest plastic manufacturers in the US. We're the right people to make this happen. Our CEO, Elizabeth, founded a design studio and led the growth of 3 Guatemalan social enterprises. I'm an engineer, bringing 20 years of experience at Toyota. I'm leading the filter design and the manufacturing process. Monica has over 15 years of international development, including 8 years in Guatemala, creating rural distribution pathways for solar power. We need to raise $350,000, $150 to build the product and enter the market, and $200 to grow the business. With this seed funding, we can be in business in the next 6 months. We need your help to make affordable water filters in the developing world. With 2,000 pre-sales and a 2 billion person addressable market, we have a product that's easy, durable, and affordable for working poor consumers worldwide. Join our equity crowdfunding raise with a $1,000 minimum investment. You can own a share of this company starting on April 30th. So send us an email tonight to pre-register to learn more and to take action with us. And we'll send you an invite to our April 30th launch party and kick off the crowdfunding raise.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Ola, with us in Aspirational Technology. Looks like you already have one question and one person reaching out who's interested in connecting. But yeah, I think what you guys are doing, it's great, and we can definitely use that here too for all the reasons and the values that you mentioned. So looks like you have some questions from Hassan and a question from David Bloom, if you want to take those.
Okay. Oh, I see the patent there. So Hassan's question is, does this filter have a design or utility patent? And doesn't it have any international patents pending or issued? I'm working on a provisional patent for a design patent right now. Or I'm sorry, not a design patent, for a utility patent. And I will be issuing it within this month. It's very exciting. It's an improvement on the current back flushing. So like the backwashing is a very key component to this type of filter. It's like the thing that makes it reusable and extends its life for as long as these filters can last, like 5 years, sometimes even longer. But oftentimes, because the backwashing can be difficult, it gets abandoned earlier than that. And so our design, or the patentable part of our design, is related to making that backwashing function easier and just the product more durable. And next question, how do I handle the fiber, potting, cement, curing steps manufacturing in Guatemala? This was a big challenge for the Ann Arbor-based Gelman and Turuma. We are working with DuPont in the US right now, and we are using fibers from the US, and we should be done down there. We are doing all of our membrane. I assume you mean like the creating of the fiber puck that's inside the filter?
Oh, it's the assembly of the filter mechanism from the fibers. They usually go into a potting type of gasket so that the water is forced through the fiber.
And
are you manufacturing in Guatemala?
Yes, yep, we are. We will be making those we will be making that portion in-house. And so that we haven't,
It's a geeky question. I'll take it offline.
okay, yeah, let's take that fine. Question on convertible debt or safe notes. So we are on our first round of funding right now. It's one of our family and friends funding. What'll be an equity fund. So like a GoFundMe, but with shares, like owning shares. So the platform is called Raise Green, and it's we are still finalizing exactly the terms of the fund. We're looking right now, it's most likely gonna be a convertible note. But the final terms we will be deciding between now and the April 30 launch. I have a question called F and angles, but I don't know what that means.
Yeah, Hassan, if you want to clarify in the chat, but it looks like there's another
Friends and
question.
family and angels, I think is what it meant.
Friends and family, yep. There you go.
Oh, friends and family and angels. Okay, so this is probably the same question then. So yeah, we're doing friends and family now, and we are also interested in, if you know angels, we will be discussing with them for later in this year.
And then another question about utility patent.
We are applying for utility patents. I mean, I do hope that we will get one. I think there are some key features of our design that are patentable, that are novel and useful over what the current previous art is.
About another minute and a half for questions for Theresa.
Have you connected to some of the organizations doing charitable or economic development work in South America? Yes, absolutely. So that is actually how we started this whole company. So both of my co-founders are, I'm not exactly familiar with William Davis Institute specifically, but both my co-founders have spent extensive time in Guatemala and Mexico and other developing countries. And we have actually worked for NGOs, and often this type of product is like a gifting type product for like humanitarian relief through an NGO. And so we've actually been there and have been giving these out through NGOs and have been asked multiple times for the people who want to purchase these. Like there aren't enough, they aren't available in the stores there. People have the money and they want to buy these filters, and that there's a need there that's not getting met.
Yeah.
And we learned that through working with these organizations.
And we have time for one last question here.
Sorry to hit you with a super geeky question. Ann Arbor has a lot of fiber filter manufacturing talent that can help you with offshore manufacturing. This will be important as you scale up. Thanks, David. I will talk to you about that. We originally got our first prototypes from China. We were looking for something a little closer to home, just to shore up that like stable supply chain. But I'd be really interested to talk to you about that.
Well, actually, I think that was a DM from David to you, but that's fine. But that's cool. If you want to take a look at Hassan's last question and chat it to him while we move on to our next pitch. But thank you so much for sharing Aspirational Tech with everybody and the round. So I'm definitely interested in myself in supporting this. So folks know people out there who we want to support to make this happen. That'd be great. I just shared the website with everybody. But with that, thank you so much, Theresa, for sharing Aspirational Tech with everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, and then we are to our last presenter tonight, Harvey Goodman of Eebu Health. Eebu tracks patient healthcare follow-up and engages patient in their own care. And Harvey, whenever you're ready, take it away.
All right. Am I on right?
You are.
Excellent. So thanks for inviting me to talk about Eebu Health today. My name's Harvey Goodman. I'm the co-founder and CEO. Our software automates the process of tracking patient follow-up, so for hospitals. And in case you're wondering about the name Eebu, it's a play on the French word for owl. The idea for Eebu began when my partner John was in the emergency room. He encountered a patient in septic shock. It turned out that the patient had a forgotten ureteral stent, and over time it had encrusted with the body like the picture you see right there. John managed to save her life, but it took multiple surgeries. And however, this all could have been prevented with just a 15-minute procedure and less than $2,000. Instead, the procedures ended up costing about $30,000. And a forgotten ureteral stent is also a great way to lose a lawsuit for about $300,000. And this is way too common. Procedural-based specialists represent about 50% of spending, but rarely get the attention of software developers. They usually have to use generic solutions like Excel or the EHR. We've actually identified 25 processes that lack effective tools like this. Let's take a look at just one of them as an example: men with low-risk prostate cancer. Generally, these men should be just monitored. In other words, watch and wait and see what happens. However, 50,000 men each year undergo unnecessary surgery or radiation. And this is all because physicians fear the patients won't do their follow-up. And it turns out they're right. The patients actually don't do their follow-up. In fact, about 5,000 men each year are on active surveillance, being watched and waiting, and they don't do their follow-up, and they move from low risk to high risk, and nobody notices. So a lot of physicians choose to do surgery or radiation instead of monitoring. This means more costs and more pain. And ironically, providing the right care to men can actually drive revenue. For example, if we were to simply remove all of the IVC filters that were implanted in the United States, that would generate about $200 million in additional revenue for hospitals while improving patient outcomes. So we address 4 of the key failures of existing solutions today. So solutions today require manual entry. Eebu tracks automatically. Second, patients often forget 40 to 80% of what they're told when they're discharged from the hospital. We push the right information at the right time so that you have it when you have to make the right decision. Third, today's solutions can remind patients of upcoming appointments, but Eebu also reminds them to schedule appointments that they need. And then finally, solutions today don't follow the patient until everything is complete, but we do. We have basically a solution in 2 parts. First, there's a web-based solution, which allows providers to manage all their patients. And second, a HIPAA-compliant mobile solution engages patients and their families without downloading an app. We accomplish this by converting data in the EHR into actionable information. So first, we synthesize different types of data from the EHR, and we create meaning out of that. Then we interpret unstructured data using natural language processing. So for example, we can tell what kind of stent was implanted by reading the operative notes. Finally, we apply an expected care pathway, and this is what allows us to compare what a patient has done to what they are supposed to be doing. We've raised over $300,000 in grants and bootstrapping. This has supported our pilots, 2 of them at Michigan Medicine and at UAB Medicine. We're also starting a project next month worth over $500,000. We'll be announcing that soon. I can't yet announce the name. We'll be building a prostate cancer solution that also integrates data from providers across the state of Michigan. This will give us a competitive advantage in the state of Michigan, but it will also provide us a national product that has applicability everywhere else. We're now seeking pre-seed funding of $700,000. Let's take a look at some of the evidence we've gathered so far of our success. At Michigan Medicine, in the first 3 months of the pilot, Eebu had tracked 27 patients automatically. Nurses did a manual review of the records and missed 8 of those 27 patients. 8 lost patients would mean about $50,000 in lost revenue for the hospital. At UAB, we're tracking ureteral stents, like in the example that I told you about with my partner, John. And after using Eebu, they discovered that they had a decrease in the lapse in care for follow-up for patients from 27% lapse to 11% lapse. Daryl and I have been working together for 15 years as co-founders, and we've had 2 successful exits together. In fact, I think Daryl's on the call right now, and 12 years ago, he presented at A2NewTech, our first startup. John is a physician and a professor at Michigan Medicine. Mark's also a professor at Michigan, and his research focuses on patient engagement and mobile smart health. Our advisors, Jim Arthurs, also from Michigan, and our attorney, Michael Melfi, who was an author as well on entrepreneurship. I'd love your help with introductions in 3 main areas. First, customers. Specifically, we'd love to meet urologists or interventional radiologists, ideally beyond the U of M network, since we're fairly well connected there. Investors focusing on early stage healthcare, and insights, anyone who can help us make the right choices. And thanks so much for your time and interest and help. I'll take any questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Harvey, for sharing this. And yeah, I mean, just like the story that you told from the very get-go, it's just like that just really does sum up like how valuable like Eebu can be for folks. Yeah, I'm sure folks are writing in their names already and their questions in right now.
Maybe I answered everything.
Yeah, maybe. I guess maybe like people or folks are writing in their questions. Like I'll ask like why in particular like in the urologist like world is that kind of your area of focus?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, really, it's because my partner's a urologist, and the story started from urology. But we actually think that interventional radiology may be a better opportunity for us. Urology certainly has the scare story of if you forget one of these ureteral stents, eventually it will be a problem. It's not really how likely will be a problem. It will be a problem. And so that's a good reason to pull them out. But it's also the case that not as many people forget them for that long.
Sure.
And the revenue driven for hospitals is a little bit lower. But with interventional radiology, there's actually a lot of revenue left on the table. We did an analysis at Michigan and saw that about $150,000 to $250,000 a year is probably lost by not pulling out the filters that should be pulled out. So they're leaving in equipment that doesn't need to be there, and they're losing $150,000 to $250,000 in the process. It's sort of a lose-lose.
Makes sense. Yeah, if folks have questions for Harvey, I assume the silence is purely the fact that either people are writing furiously or you've answered everything in your pitch.
Or they're bored out of their minds.
I can't imagine that being true. I mean, what you're doing is really awesome.
Thanks. Let me give people a couple more seconds. I can just run through some of my other, let me go forward a little bit to some slides and see if there's anything interesting I left out that we'd want to talk about. Yeah, I mean, maybe use of funds. So our goal for use of funds is to prove product market fit, and our KPIs for proving that would be making sure we have paying customers, that we have case studies that prove the value, and that we have evidence of regular usage. And then you can see a sort of a chart of where we would be allocating some of our spend on the right-hand side. We think sales and marketing is probably one of the places that needs a lot of attention. Selling into hospitals is a big deal. It takes expertise, experience, and time.
Looks like you have a question from Diane. So,
healthcare is always tricky. What you see is your biggest hurdle for adoption. Yeah, biggest hurdle for adoption is not whether it's a good idea, but whether it's the best idea. So hospitals have a long backlog for integrating IT into their queue. So you know, the doctors might say, yeah, this is great, it sounds fantastic, and then you go to IT and it gets prioritized pretty far down the list. So making sure that we have a revenue story for 12 months is critical. So it's not just about, you know, hey, we're going to have better outcomes and everyone's going to be happy. It has to be about, we're going to drive revenue. We're not driving some money to the bottom line for your hospital in the next 12 months. And that's one of the things we do. We'll be priced below a point of where we think revenue will return in 12 months.
okay. Any other questions for Harvey? We have another minute. All right. Well, I think, yeah, folks are writing in. Like, I think you probably answered all the questions everyone was looking for. But
Good. Well, thank you very much for the time and attention. I see one direct message, which I will respond to.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you, Harvey, for sharing Eebu with everybody. Good luck with raising your rounds. I just shared the link with everybody. So if you know anybody who's interested or can connect Harvey with folks who know like the healthcare world really well, please do so. As you can see from that initial story, like this is definitely needed. And with that is our 4 pitches today. So this is all really great, and appreciate everybody like hanging out with us tonight. We're going to move into our community announcements. So if you have anything that you want to promote, whether it's a meetup, someone you're trying to hire for, if you're looking for a collaborator, whatever it may be, for the next couple of minutes, feel free to type into the chat any of your community announcements, and we'll take those and we'll move them over to our people will check them out, but we'll move them over to our meetup page. And looks like Daniel Hodges may have a connection for you, Harvey, and he just shared his email in the
Yes.
chat.
Thank you. Thank you. And also thank you.
Yeah. So that's a solid first announcement. But yeah, like folks have spend a couple minutes thinking about your announcement. Feel free to type them in. As you do that, I want to thank again everybody for coming tonight, and I apologize again for the inconvenience and the confusion of dealing with Zoom. I'll make sure to quadruple check the Zoom link next time moving forward to make sure that we don't deal with this. But for our next A2NewTech, it'll be on the third Tuesday of the month, like it is every month, which will be April 20th. And it's a pretty easy number to remember. So do come to that. And if you are interested in pitching, or you know anybody who should be pitching at A2NewTech, please feel free to send them my way. I'll share my email below as folks are typing in. There it is at hein@a2newtech.org. So send folks my way. Would love to have them and showcase them here and to continue to further show how awesome the startup community here is in Ann Arbor. And while we're primarily focused on Ann Arbor, my goal is to really kind of showcase the state of Michigan in general. So don't let the Ann Arbor part stop you from sending people my way. You just want to really show off how great the state is, and in our own little small way that we can to stop the brain drain. And yeah, so as you can see from the presentation tonight, there's just a very general criteria, obviously in the tech world, and you've done some customer validation, at least maybe in beta testing, and you have some sort of prototype in place. That's generally the criteria, but don't worry about dealing with that. Send them my way and we'll go through a questionnaire. But with that, I want to thank everybody again for joining tonight. Really, really appreciate it. And what we'll do now is break everybody up into breakout rooms. Hopefully you can hang around and meet each other for a little bit. If you haven't already, please do join the Slack. I'm going to provide the presenters information in there as well, so you can reach out to them. But with that, please stick around for the breakout, and I'll see you guys all next time. Stay safe out there while we all work towards getting the vaccine. All right. All right. Here we go. And breakout rooms are opening up, so feel free to join them.